Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast of brief messages to help humanity bridge the gap to the new earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard. It is my delight to be a scribe for consciousness today, sharing the wisdom that flows through from Source. Here we go. Episode 304. It is Monday. Here in Cincinnati, it's cold, it's kind of gray, the branches are all bare. It was kind of rainy maybe last night, so it looks like the ground is a little wet. It's brisk. It is a brisk winter day of November, right before the week of Thanksgiving. We are just barreling through the rest of this year. It's going by so quickly. Yeah, so today, the title is Changing Our Minds, and I think I know where we're going, but I reserve the right to change my mind, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. We are in the last couple of days of Mercury in retrograde, which may not be affecting you at all, or it may be driving you literally crazy right now. So wherever you are in that continuum, there's hope, or everything will just remain the same, whatever your experience is. In 2 days, Mercury goes direct, which for most people is a big time of sighing, of relief and gratitude, and all of the technological things just aligning. It's not typically something that impacts me very much, that I notice, but what I find for myself is it's more internal. It's not that it's reflected in the computers around me. It's the internal mental, you know how the mind just does that, like it's flipping through the patterns and the loops and the old familiar, well-trod stories. I find in Mercury retrograde that is how I experience it. It's a very internal sitting in some old stuff and then just waiting for it to go away and trying to get myself to redirect. And so I thought it would be interesting today to kind of explore this idea of changing our minds. So on a collective level, if Mercury retrograde has a collective impact, which I believe it does, then when the switch happens, which really is a whole optical illusion anyway, from what I understand in my very limited understanding of astrology, it's never actually going backwards or forwards or any of that. It's just we are all in rotation as planets with other planets, and so it looks like it's going backwards. When we experience on Earth Mercury going direct after it being retrograde, especially in Scorpio, I mean... intense when it goes direct, collectively what it's going to feel like is more ease, less struggle, less mental anguish, like a big breath of fresh air. And collectively, if that's the experience, individually it's going to impact us, even if it's just a little bit. It's going to be felt because the collective humanity is going to go, and we'll feel that. So that would be on Wednesday, in case you're wondering. You've got a couple more days to change your mind. That's the collective experience. So individually, how does that impact each one of us? For me, I'll describe my own example, and then you can find where that aligns for you or where it doesn't. For me, what I shared yesterday in our Sunday meditation, energy clearing, visualization, awesomeness, what I channeled, what I shared from my higher self and Source through my voice into the meditation space, is this awareness that we are moving towards the end of this year, which is going to be a very significant shift for all of humanity, for the energy field of our planet, 2019 to 2020 is going to go, it's going to be a big movement through a portal, through a threshold. And so for us individually, as we make our way towards the end of this year, how are we in alignment, in optimal health with our mind, body, spirit? Are we dragging ourselves through to the end of the year and then collapsing across the threshold? So glad that 2019 has ended and maybe 2020 will be better, right? Are we doing that finish line like you would in a marathon, where you barely get across and then you fall down on the ground waiting for people to come and rescue you? Is that the experience that you will create for yourself? Because each of us are responsible for our own journey. Will you create that experience for yourself as you move into the new year? Or can you align with the power of what is happening energetically, astrologically, the momentum that is building that can right? It can carry us like a rocket ship right up to the edge of 2019. And then we launch ourselves into 2020. We catapult ourselves into that new decade. We're so in alignment and steady and resourced and triumphant, right? We did this decade. Like, that's how I intend to step from 2019 into 2020. I rocked this decade. I kicked some ass, my own. And here it goes. Let's start. Bring it on, 2020. That's my intention. It's to be so solid, steady, and resourced that when the new year begins, it's like throwing open the windows on the first spring day and hearing the birds sing and feeling the fresh air come in through the window, and for me, smelling the salt of the ocean, right? Like, that's the feeling that I call in for myself as I step into 2020. And so if that's the intention that I'm holding, what do I need to do between now and the end of 2019 to get myself that resourced, that excited, that clear in my focus? Well, that's what we looked at on yesterday's meditation. So if you want the whole scoop, you need to go listen to the meditation and do your own work, because it took an hour. It took an hour, and I can't summarize it. I mean, I could, but what would be the fun of summarizing it in 2 minutes for you? It's about the joy of the experience of sitting in that clarity of knowing that's what I want, and then doing the work energetically for an hour to clear, and then feel that steadiness. Right? And there are tools that I teach in those meditations that you can use over and over. It's just, they're such fun playgrounds for me. But I'll give you a couple nuggets. So one of the biggest, I believe, is that our mind is a well-worn machine that we have been programming from very young ages, and having much input around us in the programming of our minds, so that we have very well-worn thoughts and beliefs and ways of seeing the world and ways of sitting in our old stories and replaying the same stories. It reminds me of this little toy that I had when I was younger. I don't know why I just thought of this. It was a little, I think, Fisher-Price. Remember that brand? A little Fisher-Price plastic record player. And I would put this little plastic record. I don't know how they did it now that I think about it. You would put this plastic record on top of this plastic player, and then you would push this button, and whatever the name is of the record you put in, the song would play. So there was like a Twinkle Twinkle Little Star record, and I don't remember, Old MacDonald record. But I thought I was like a DJ, because I would put these tiny little plastic things into the record player and it would play these songs. But there was only one song per record. It was one track, one loop. That was it. And that's all you would get. No matter how many times you might ask the record player to play something else, it was associated with that one groove. It's the same for us with our minds. We get into this groove and we replay it and replay it and replay it, and eventually that's just how our thoughts are. What we are being offered as we have this power astrologically of Mercury in retrograde in Scorpio. This is past, old, deep stuff. When we have that astrological support and there's a commitment internally for me and whatever you choose to commit to, an internal commitment that I'm going to clear the stuff that doesn't serve me anymore. I'm going to get rid of those grooves that aren't serving, that are stupid from my own experience. They limit me, they drive me crazy, and they don't do any good, and they're not even true. Half of them are not even true, but they're so old and familiar. I just get in the groove, right? And I think it over and over, and then I loop and I go down this rabbit hole and get all blah. My mind is very powerful and it can take me into some old stories very quickly. But it's that easy to change it by simply taking the old record out and putting a new one in. And we are the ones in control of that. If we don't like the story or the belief, change it. Change it. Stop the moment you begin going into that old pattern. Look at it to see what's true and what isn't. If it's true and you don't like it, change it. Make a change in your life. Do something different. Change the internal talk. Change the external talk. Perhaps stop talking, start listening. Whatever it is that needs to shift, you are in control of that. I am in control of my own thoughts. So here we are in Mercury retrograde with a couple more days in Scorpio to be able to sit in this space of change. What we're going to feel as we move out of this intensity and into more ease is a lightening up. The beginning of opening the windows, letting in some fresh air. So align with that momentum. When you feel the loop starting and you know where it's going to take you, stop. Get up. Go do something different. Go outside. Call a friend. Listen to music. Do something and change that right before it begins. When we focus on changing our minds in this way, with the intention of, I'm going to do everything in my ability, in my focus. I'm going to align all of my resources of time and intelligence and support and direct it at this threshold of 2019. I'm going to be so laser focused on how I want to arrive at the end of this year, fully resourced, clear in my mind, focused on what it is I want to be and become and create and do in the next decade. When that is your intention, the mind is going to start matching up, grooving up, aligning up with that intention. And so your work to do, my work to do, is the moment that mind starts going in a place I know isn't going to serve me, stop it. Stop it, redirect, do something fun. For me, this past weekend, it was laying on the couch with my husband watching cheesy Hallmark Christmas movies. Which I don't even believe in half of what they were saying in the shows, but it was so, what's the word? Happy. It was so happy. I was so happy watching other people's drama and stories and knowing like they could just easily fix it by doing this or that or talking, and how funny it was to watch the assumptions that we all make and how that assumption has us do these stupid, crazy actions that make no sense, right? Until finally the two main characters connect and they actually start speaking their truth to each other. And then there's the kiss. My husband and I were laughing. The kiss is almost always in the last 2 minutes of the movie. So you wait an hour and a half to get a kiss at the end. I'm like, that is not my reality. I want the kiss at the beginning and the middle and the end. uh, but it was so heartwarming for me to just lay there on the couch and be held by my husband and giggle at these silly stories that are playing out on the TV screen, and realize I don't have to work all the time. I don't have to be stressed and running, and my mind doesn't have to be preparing and planning and thinking ahead. I can just stop. I can just pause all of that and be in the feeling of joy. And so here I am this morning, so filled up, so resourced, so happy. My mind doing the thing and me catching it faster and faster and changing the story. So I share all of this to invite you, be aware of what's happening in your mind. And when you feel that groove starting that you know is going to take you to a place of craziness, stop it and redirect and commit. If you have the same feeling or intention I do of arriving at the end of this year so ready for 2020, then start taking the action steps now that align with that. Create the pattern changes now that support that. You have 2 more days of Mercury retrograde. Use it as like massive intensive focus on your thoughts and your mind. And then let's see what happens when that astrological shift occurs, and can we flow into more ease and grace? Of course we can. Was there ever any doubt? And if you want a deeper dive, listen to the meditation from yesterday, do the energy work, and then see like what is lining up for you for 2020. Those meditations are called Here Now with Viv, and very easy to find on my website. So you can just pop over there and then find the Sunday meditations and get the one from yesterday. All right, I will see you back here tomorrow. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this vibration of pure love. I invite you to join me on Sunday mornings for an hour of meditation, visualization, and energy healing, where we realign our mind, body, spirit with Gaia and Source. You can learn more at mysouljourney.com. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.